Welcome to Mayhem Pokemon, where questionable Pokemon meet questionable trainers. For this week, we're showcasing our first ever Pokemon TCG game, hoping to get some more games of it rolling soon. Apologies for the camera and lighting this week, we've had to work with a new space and are testing some new equipment. With that being said, let's check out the pod today. First, we have Lincoln on a Rapid Strike Urshifu V list that seeks to churn through the deck and utilize switch outs and G-Max abilities to target its opponent's bench, and Brayden on a Zacian V list that seeks to use Zacian for big damage, whittle down prize cards, and win with a Radiant Steelix Alpha Strike. And now, with each pilot in their respective corner of the screen, let us begin. And for those of you in the Ames area, stick around to find out how you can get 10% off your next Mayhem Ames purchase. Both players reveal their active Pokemon, with Brayden flipping Zacian V and Lincoln flipping Rapid Strike Urshifu V. Lincoln draws and puts another Rapid Strike Urshifu V onto his bench. He attaches Air Balloon and Rapid Strike Energy to his active Urshifu and plays Ultra Ball, discarding 2 cards, fetching up and playing Radiant Greninja onto the bench. He activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy to draw 2, and follows it up with a Battle VIP pass, fetching up 2 Sobbles to his bench. Lincoln passes. Brayden draws and plays Irida, fetching up a Battle VIP pass and a Hisuian Basculin to his hand. He follows it up by playing Battle VIP pass, fetching up another Zacian V and Hisuian Basculin to his bench, plays the other Hisuian Basculin to his bench, attaches a Steel Energy to his active Zacian, and activates Zacian. Looking at the top 3, attaching 2 more Steel Energy to Zacian, puts the rest into his hand, and passing the turn. Lincoln draws, attaches a Water Energy to his active Urshifu, and plays Evolution Incense, fetching up and evolving into Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, and evolves Sobble into Drizzile. It enters and Lincoln fetches up and plays Professor's Research, discarding his hand and drawing 7, activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy to draw 2, and plays Level Ball, fetching up and playing Remoraid to his bench. He attacks with Urshifu VMAX, using G-Max Rapid Flow on both of Brayden's Hisuian Basculin, discarding all energy attached to Urshifu. Both are knocked out, Lincoln takes 2 prize cards, and passes. Brayden draws and discards a card to play Quick Ball, fetching up and playing a Basculin to the bench. He attaches a Steel Energy to his bench Zacian and activates it, looking at the top 3, attaching 1 Steel Energy, putting the rest into his hand, and passing the turn. Lincoln draws and evolves Sobble into Drizzile, fetching up a Switch into his hand, attaching a Rapid Strike Energy to Urshifu VMAX, and evolves Drizzile into Inteleon, and activates Inteleon, putting 2 damage counters on Brayden's active Zacian. He follows it up with Level Ball, fails to find, activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy to draw 2, and evolves his benched Urshifu into Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. He plays Boss's Orders, switching out Brayden's benched Zacian for his active one, and switches out his benched Urshifu VMAX for his active one. He plays Switch, swapping them back. He attacks with Urshifu VMAX, using Gale Thrust on Zacian. Zacian gets 15 damage counters, and Lincoln passes. Brayden draws and plays Hisuian Heavy Ball, looking at his prize cards, putting Radiant Steelix into his hand and replacing it with Hisuian Heavy Ball. He follows it up by playing Radiant Steelix to his bench, plays Clara, returning 2 Hisuian Basculin from his discard to his hand, retreats his active Zacian with his benched one, and plays Metal Saucer, attaching a Steel Energy from his discard to Radiant Steelix. He attacks with Zacian, using Brave Blade on Urshifu VMAX. Urshifu gets 23 damage counters, and Brayden passes. Lincoln draws and evolves Drizzile into Inteleon, fetching up an Air Balloon and a Boss's Orders, attaches a Water Energy to his active Urshifu VMAX, equips Air Balloon to his benched Urshifu VMAX, and attacks with Urshifu VMAX, using G-Max Rapid Flow on Brayden's Basculin and benched Zacian, discarding all energy. Both are knocked out, Lincoln takes 3 prize cards, and passes. Brayden draws and plays Thornton, switching his active Zacian for a Zacian in his discard, attaches a Steel Energy to Radiant Steelix, and plays 2 Hisuian Basculin to his bench. He attacks with Zacian, using Brave Blade on Urshifu VMAX. Urshifu is knocked out, Lincoln puts in his other Urshifu VMAX as his active Pokemon, Brayden takes 3 prize cards, and passes. Lincoln draws and evolves Remoraid into Octillery, and activates Octillery, fetching up and attaching a Rapid Strike Energy to Urshifu. He puts a Sobble on his bench, plays Professor's Research, discarding his hand to draw 7, activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy to draw 2, plays a Tower of Waters, equips Sobble with an Air Balloon, activates Inteleon, putting 2 damage counters on Radiant Steelix, and plays Ordinary Rod, shuffling 2 Pokemon and 2 energy back into his deck. He retreats Urshifu for Sobble and passes. Brayden draws, attaches a Steel Energy to Radiant Steelix, and retreats Zacian for Steelix. He attacks Sobble with Radiant Steelix, using Destructive Finish, discarding all but 1 card in his deck. Sobble is knocked out, Lincoln puts in Inteleon as his active Pokemon, Brayden takes a prize card, and passes. Lincoln draws, attaches a Water Energy to Urshifu, retreats Inteleon for Urshifu, and attacks both Basculins with Urshifu VMAX, using G-Max Rapid Flow, discarding all energy. With both Basculins knocked out, Brayden sees the writing on the wall, and Lincoln wins the game. Both players reveal their active Pokemon, with Brayden flipping Zacian V and Lincoln flipping Radiant Greninja. Lincoln draws and activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy to draw 2. He plays Rapid Strike Urshifu V to his bench, equips Radiant Greninja with an Air Balloon, and passes. Brayden draws, plays Hisuian Basculin to his bench, and plays Irida, fetching up a Battle VIP Pass and Hisuian Basculin. He plays Battle VIP Pass, putting 2 more Zacian Vs to his bench. He attaches a Steel Energy to his active Zacian and activates it, looking at the top 3, attaching 2 Steel Energy to it and putting the rest into his hand. Brayden passes. Lincoln draws and plays Melanie, attaching a Water Energy from his discard to Urshifu and drawing 3 cards. He puts a Remoraid on his bench and activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy to draw 2, attaches Rapid Strike Energy to Urshifu, and retreats Radiant Greninja for Urshifu. He attacks Zacian with Urshifu, using Strafe. Zacian gets 3 damage counters, Urshifu is switched for Remoraid, and Lincoln passes. Brayden draws, attaches a Steel Energy to a bench Zacian, and plays Irida, fetching up a Metal Saucer. He attacks Sobble with Zacian, using Brave Blade. Sobble is knocked out, Lincoln puts in Radiant Greninja as his active Pokemon, Brayden takes a prize card, and passes. Lincoln draws and evolves Urshifu into Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy to draw 2, plays Professor's Research, discarding his hand to draw 7, puts a Rapid Strike Urshifu V to his bench, attaches an Air Balloon to Urshifu VMAX, and plays Level Ball, fetching up and playing a Sobble to his bench. He retreats Radiant Greninja for Sobble and passes. Brayden draws, attaches a Steel Energy to a bench Zacian, and activates the other bench Zacian, looking at the top 3, attaching 2 Steel Energy, putting the rest into his hand, and passing. Lincoln draws and evolves Sobble into Drizzile, fetching up and playing Melanie, attaching a Water Energy to Urshifu V and drawing 3 cards. He plays Switch, switching Drizzile for Urshifu VMAX, puts another Rapid Strike Urshifu V to his bench, and attacks a bench Zacian and Hisuian Basculin with Urshifu VMAX, using Gmax Rapid Flow, discarding all energy. Basculin is knocked out, Zacian gets 12 damage counters, Lincoln takes a prize card, and passes. Brayden draws, puts another Zacian V to his bench, attaches a Steel Energy to it, and attacks Urshifu VMAX with Zacian V using Brave Blade. Urshifu gets 23 damage counters, and Brayden passes. Lincoln draws and plays Level Ball, fetching up and putting a Remoraid onto his bench. He follows it up by evolving Drizzile into Inteleon, fetching up an Ultra Ball and Irida into his hand. He plays Irida, fetching up an Air Balloon and Octillery, equips an Air Balloon to a benched Urshifu V, retreats his Urshifu VMAX for the other Urshifu V, and passes. Brayden draws, attaches a Steel Energy to a benched Zacian, plays Switch, swapping his active Zacian for a benched one, and attacks Urshifu V with Zacian, using Brave Blade. Urshifu is knocked out, Lincoln puts in his other Urshifu V as his active Pokemon, Brayden takes 2 prize cards, and passes. Lincoln draws and evolves Remoraid into Octillery, and activates Octillery, fetching up and attaching a Rapid Strike Energy to Urshifu V. He follows it up with an Ultra Ball, discarding 2, fetching up and evolving into Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. He puts Suicune on his bench, plays Karina's Focus, drawing it up to a 6-card hand, plays Tower of Waters, and attacks 2 bench Zacians with Urshifu VMAX, using Gmax Rapid Flow, discarding all energy. One Zacian is knocked out and the other gets 12 damage counters. Lincoln takes 2 prize cards, and passes. Brayden draws, puts a Radiant Steelix on his bench, attaches a Steel Energy to it, and plays 2 Metal Saucers, attaching 2 Steel Energy from his discard to Radiant Steelix. He retreats Zacian for Radiant Steelix and attacks Urshifu VMAX with Radiant Steelix, using Destructive Finish, discarding all but 1 card in his deck. With plenty of energy discarded, Lincoln sees the writing on the wall, and Brayden wins the game. Both players reveal their active Pokemon, with Brayden revealing Hisuian Basculin and Lincoln revealing Rapid Strike Urshifu V. Lincoln draws, attaches Air Balloon to Urshifu, and plays Battle VIP Pass, fetching up a Radiant Greninja and Sobble to his bench. Lincoln passes. Brayden draws, attaches a Steel Energy to Basculin, and attacks with Basculin, using Gather the Crew, fetching up Radiant Steelix and Zacian V to his bench. Brayden passes. Lincoln draws and plays Evolution Incense, fetching up and evolving into Drizzile, fetching up an Ultra Ball. He activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy to draw 2, plays Suicune V to his bench, and plays Ultra Ball, discarding 2 cards, fetching up and playing a Remoraid to his bench. He follows that up with another Evolution Incense, fetching up and evolving into Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, plays a Professor's Research, discarding his hand and drawing 7 cards, plays Rapid Strike Urshifu V to his bench, and attaches a Rapid Strike Energy to Urshifu VMAX. He retreats Urshifu VMAX for Suicune, activates Suicune, drawing a card, and passing. Brayden draws, attaches a Steel Energy to Radiant Steelix, retreats Basculin for Zacian, and plays Metal Saucer, attaching a Steel Energy from his discard to Radiant Steelix. He activates Zacian, looking at the top 3, attaching a Steel Energy to Zacian, and puts the rest into his hand. Brayden passes. Lincoln draws, attaches a water energy to Urshifu VMAX, and activates Suicune, drawing a card. He evolves Drizzile into Inteleon, fetching up a Switch and Melanie into his hand. He evolves Urshifu V into Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, plays Evolution Incense, fetching up an evolving Remoraid into Octillery, and plays Melanie, attaching a water energy from his discard to his Urshifu VMAX and drawing 3 cards. He follows it up with a Tower of Waters and plays Switch, switching Suicune for Urshifu VMAX. He attacks Hisuian Basculin and Radiant Steelix with Urshifu, using G-Max Rapid Flow, discarding all energy, knocking out Basculin and giving Steelix 12 damage counters. Lincoln takes a prize card and passes. Brayden draws, attaches a Steel Energy to Radiant Steelix, and activates Zacian, looking at the top 3 and attaching 3 Steel Energy to Zacian. Brayden passes. Lincoln draws, attaches a Rapid Strike Energy to his benched Urshifu VMAX, plays Melanie, attaching a Water Energy to his active Urshifu VMAX and drawing 3 cards. He retreats his active Urshifu VMAX for his benched Urshifu VMAX and attacks Zacian and Radiant Steelix with Urshifu VMAX, using G-Max Rapid Flow, discarding all energy, knocking out Radiant Steelix and putting 12 damage counters on Zacian. Lincoln takes a prize card and passes. Brayden draws, plays Hisuian Basculin to his bench, and attacks Urshifu VMAX with Zacian using Brave Blade. Urshifu VMAX gets 23 damage counters, and Brayden passes. Lincoln draws, attaches a Rapid Strike Energy to his benched Urshifu VMAX, retreats his active Urshifu VMAX for his benched one, and attacks Basculin and Zacian with Urshifu using G-Max Rapid Flow, discarding all energy. Both Pokemon are knocked out, and with no Pokemon in play, Brayden sees the writing on the wall, and Lincoln wins the match. For those of you in the Ames area who stuck around, come to Mayhem Comics and Ames this week and ask for the YouTube discount. You'll be asked the question, who won? Answer correctly and get 10% off your purchase. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to catch future videos, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.